Hi guys, this is Michelle Grigsby. I am the developer of buildablog.org. I am so excited that you're here. You are taking the first step to creating an online presence, and because you're going through my tutorials, hopefully you're not going to go through the pain and heartache that I went through where I learned the hard way on how to create a website. And so I'm just really excited because you're going to learn a ton and you're going to have a beautiful professional looking website up and running in no time. So let's get right to it. All right, the first thing that you need to do is you need to figure out what kind of domain that you want. What's the name of your domain? Well, what is a domain name? Okay, if you're going to have an online presence, if you want to have a website, you obviously need to have a domain name. It's the address that people will type in so that they can find you. And some examples of that would be www.thenameofyourdomainname.com or the same name followed by .org or .net. Those are the three most common types of websites that I recommend you get. And whenever I show you how to actually go in and get a domain, you will see that you have several different choices. The number one choice would be .com because that's just the most common. Most people can remember .com. .org or .net I only recommend if you absolutely have to. Okay, and the reason why is obviously if you have a competitor that has the same domain as you, but it's the .com, you know, if somebody tries to remember your website to go back to it and they don't remember to put in .org, they're going to be going to your competitor's website. So if you have to go to a .org or .net, check out your competition because, you know, buildablog.com does not have a website, so really I have no competition in regards to the .com. So buildablog.org was my next choice, and there's a couple of reasons why I chose the name of this domain, which I'll get to actually very soon. So why do you need a domain name? Okay, two reasons. You want it to be easy for people to access, okay? Also, you want to be professional. A lot of people are marketing business or products online where the company that they represent gives them an extension of their website. For example, you might decide to market a product online through a company that has their own website already, and they might give you an extension which would be like www.yourname.thenameofthecompany.com. Well, number one, it's really long, and number two, it's really not that professional. And so, you know, I always recommend getting your own domain name just because it looks better and it's easier for people to get access to. All right, so how do you choose a domain name? There's actually three different ways I'm going to go over with you. And the first one, a lot of people buy a domain with their name in it. For example, I have a website, www.michellegrigsby.com, and if you go to that site, you will see that this is actually not a blog. It is a static website. This was the very first website that I created when I first got into internet marketing. I wanted to create a website. This is for my insurance business, and I actually keep this site up and running just because for illustrative purposes, I want to show people what not to get. This was something I got several years ago. I haven't made changes to it in 2 or 3 years because I haven't had a need to. Now, if I created a blog with this website, then I would have a dynamic website. But with this, it's just a static website, but I wanted to show you that I actually have my name with this. So if you go to myname.com, it will take you to this static website. Okay, another way to choose a domain name is a catchphrase. Like, pick a really cool name that people will remember your website by. I personally like Build-A-Blog because obviously when people hear that, they probably will assume that it's about teaching you how to build a blog. And so I like that because it's easier for people to remember. So another thing to take into consideration is keyword rich. If you're going to, if you want to have a domain that has, if you want to have a keyword rich, like if you want to create a website wrapped around certain targeted keywords, then that's when you might want to consider having a keyword rich domain. But I'm going to show you in these tutorials how I can actually get you a domain that has keywords that you're targeting throughout developing your blog. So don't really let this third one be a deciding factor on what to choose your name. I would probably first pick a really good catchphrase name or your name first before you choose an actual keyword-rich domain. You'll figure that out as we go through the tutorials. All right, so some other things to consider. Just make sure the name makes sense to your target market. It kind of makes sense, but really make sure that it makes sense to your target market. And make sure it's not too long. You know, it's obviously the shorter the name, the easier it is to remember. So if it's too long, it's just going to be really hard for people to remember that name. And if possible, use alliteration. What alliteration is it's where you have the same consonant at the beginning of each stressed syllable. For example, buildablog.org, build starts with the B and blog starts with the B. And that helps to make it memorable for your audience. So not only, in my opinion, is it a cool, catchy phrase, but it's also an alliteration. So build a blog, love it. Also, you know, worst case, use dashes. I personally like dashes because it's easier to see the website. People might argue that it's not as search engine searchable. I see a lot of results though come up that have dashes in it. Do not use underscores though. That is just very unprofessional looking. It just doesn't look good. Okay. So I think that's basically it on some things to consider in regards to getting a domain. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to actually show you how to go in and get a domain, and that's going to be on the next video. So I will see you soon.